So, hi all everyone, welcome to DRB, and this is Ashiti Alex. And I would like to remind you all by saying is that being disciplined is the greatest form of self-love. So I've been asked this question by one of my students is that why do we have Jainism and Buddhism, two new religion coming up in almost a similar time period, and why is that? Is there any political or socio-economic reasons which led to these emergence or sprouting of these two religion? Why all of a sudden and why not now new religions are not coming up? So I'll tell you the reason why. So we all know that while discussing history, it is almost important for us to discuss even much more time period before that. So we had Indus Valley civilization, and all of a sudden we had this Vedic culture, all these Aryans coming up and setting up of new culture and new forms of civilization here in India. So they came in different waves by 1500 BC, and by until 500 BC it reached the climax of all forms of development for these Vedic society. So I'll break it down and explain that in further elaboration. So by 1500 BC they started migrating and coming up in the northwestern part of our India, and all of a sudden they excavated and they found a new technology. And what is that? They found out iron, and by iron they found out in 1000 BC, and after that they extended to the northern plains. So after they moved out to these northern plains, we all know that they settled down and they started establishing their own kingdoms and territories. So I've described all about that in a different video about geography and history. I'll be leaving out the link above here, and you could just click on that and get know more about that, why they moved to the other part from here to here, and how does geography plays an important role in that. Please watch that because I don't want to make this video much more longer than needed. And yes, so they moved out over here and they established their own kingdom. We know Magad as the most prominent form of place came into being, and all these Janapadas, Mahajanapadas came in, wherein these territorial powers being asserted by these kings. And what happens when kingdoms are prosperous? The civilians and everyone will also be automatically prosperous. And they started to find new occupations, new professions, and more output and input to the economy by having good agriculture yield, and the kingdom being more expansive and developing much further. So it became essentially a very rich economy, that I would say. Every Janapadas, we had 16 of them, 16 Mahajanapadas were in a way highly developed, and more importantly they were highly rich, and they were filthy rich to be said. So what happens? This becomes a capitalistic form of economy. How? When these irons are being used by all these forms of professionals, agriculturists, merchants, and more importantly these tradesmen, skilled craftsmen, what happens? The economy will definitely be developed, and these patrons are being given out by the kings and these kingdoms. So again, more development, much more cycling of these money supply, increasing the economy. So this is a capitalistic economy. We should understand that during this post-Vedic and Vedic period, after the discovery of iron, it was a very capitalistic economy. And who decides the capitalistic economy? The market decides how the things, or how the society, how the political conditions should be working in accordance. So we know that after these Vedic period, Hinduism as a religion became highly corrupted by these Brahmins. They became highly expensive, highly elaborate, and all these forms of caste impurities and untouchabilities, all these social evils started to take place by the end of 400-500 BC. So what happened that all these people, they're highly rich, and these merchants, they need all these skilled craftsmen to work for them. So they can't ask these employees, okay, what is your caste? Okay, no, I can't take you. I can only make you employee over here only if you are belong to a certain caste. No, they can't say all that. Only if they are talented enough, I can hire them as my own, workers and my own staffs. So that is the reason why people were not really happy with all these forms of caste system and the rigidness of all these Hinduism. And merchants were the Vaishyas caste. They belonged to a very low strata of these fourfold Varna system, and they were not happy with the social acceptance which they were getting, because these merchants, they were highly rich, they were highly influential, but despite all these facts, they were not given the position which they felt that they needed. And that's the reason why they were looking out for new religion. And then we have the Kshatriyas, or these rulers, kingdoms, all these people, the kings, they were highly powerful. what is the point? They had all these Brahmin priests controlling them with all these yajnas and yagas, which they don't want, and they're not interested for all that. Especially this Ashwamedha yajna, where a king openly challenging another kingdom or another king for having a fight with them. They don't need that, right? So all these were unnecessary rituals brought in by these corrupted Brahmins. And these two new religion came into being because the society and everyone was totally fed up with all these rigidness, and more importantly these rituals and customs and traditions. Nobody was happy with it. So when these philosophers came out with these thoughts and ideas, people accepted it, people welcomed it, and more importantly, these Kshatriyas, the people who decide for a nation, they are the ones who accepted it. More importantly, our Ashoka, great king, he accepted it, he kept it close to his heart. And what did he do? He tried to send all these missionaries to all around the places. So when they themselves are trying to develop this religion, so we're having two new religions being established in our kingdom. So that is the reason why we have two new religions by the end of post-Vedic culture, both at almost the same similar time. So that's it for today's video. So I really hope that I was able to bring some sort of a clarity to you all. And please do watch, subscribe, and share the videos. Thank you so much. Bye bye for now.